One, two, 4. Howdy folks, in this lesson we'll be learning an advanced beginner to intermediate bluegrass flat picking solo for the classic gospel tune Swing Low, Sweet Chariot in the key of G. We'll be covering both the verse and the chorus. This will be a nice melody-driven arrangement, but we'll also get more expressive with some classic flat picking and bluegrass elements and styles. So let's dive into the first half of the arrangement. All right, so let's put the first 4 measures on the screen here. It has a pickup on beat 2. I'm going to play those first 4 and then break them on down for you. Here's what they sound like. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And I went on just a bit there. But again, we have the verse melody. We're starting with the verse melody. We'll do both melodies, of course, but I just figured I'd add both of them in here, so you have a kind of a full break for the whole tune. So we got that pickup on beat 2. Make sure you watch those pick directions. The staples are down and the V's are up strokes, and down picks on down beats, up picks on up beats. So it all starts on the open D with a series of eighth notes there. So 1 and 2 and then 2-0 pull on the D. Okay, so 1 or 2 and 3 and 4 and then measure 2, we play open G. Then we slide to the 5th fret of the D string, and that's a G note as well. We have this drone effect, kind of like a banjo would do or a fiddle. And then we play open G again, and then 2 eighth notes on the open G. So all G notes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's where the melody is. You don't have to slide into that 5th fret note, but gives it a little extra sauce, if you will. Then measure 3, we go down to the 2nd fret, D, then open D, and then we slide to the 5th fret of the A string, and that's a D note as well. So we have the drone there, right? Those are D notes. And then 0-2 hammer on the D. And then we go to an open G, but this will all be played over the C chord, right? So open G, and then I strum the C chord, and then a little 8th note run here, open on this G string, then 2, open, 2 on the D. Okay. So fairly straight ahead stuff going on here. A lot of quarter notes are right. We add the slides just to kind of spice it up a little bit and to help kind of drive it. That's what we're looking for here in this particular solo. And so playing the melody on the head, simple stuff, but we want to, just kind of hopefully just drive the tune a little bit. And here's what the 4 sound like now. A little more up to speed or moderate tempo. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, and then measures 5, 6, 7, and 8 sound like this. And I fingered measure 7 there, just a little bit wrong. You can do it both ways. It's not the most efficient, and I'll explain that in a second. But measure 5, we landed on the open D, and we go back to a G chord. So that C chord is only 1 measure long, and that's the same. The chord progression is exactly the same for the verse as it is for the chorus. And the melodies are very similar as well, but there is slight variation specifically in kind of the A part of the melody, or the the first 8 bars of each section is different. So we'll talk about that as well. But open D, and then I'm going to strum the G chord. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just a simple strumming pattern there to fill in the space. Down, down, up, down. Then measure 6, open Gs there. And then 2 8th notes. And then 2/0 pull on the G. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and now right here, measure 7. We probably, most of you and myself are more comfortable or more familiar with sliding up to the 4th fret with that 2nd finger. But in this case, we're going to use our 3rd finger. We're going to try our best. You can use the 2nd finger, but it's just not as efficient. So I'm going to use my 3rd finger. I got to just remember that in my head. 3rd finger. And then I play 3 on the B. And then again. And it's tied over on the and of 4. I catch the 4th fret on the B with the 3rd finger. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and measure 8 goes to the D chord. I'm going to play the D note. And then I'm just going to strum the D chord here. I'm going to have the high E open. And I'm going to finger the D chord like this with 1 and 2. So same strumming pattern as we did on the G chord, exactly the same, but of course we're just, I guess, even playing the same strings, like, for the most part. If you hit the open D like I did, that's totally fine, not the end of the world. But that's why we use the 3rd finger, is so that we're set up, we use the 3rd finger on the G string, so we're set up for the D chord on measure 8. Now if you get there with your 2nd finger, could just strum the top 2, or you can change it right here. See how I switched out my fingers there? Again, not the most efficient, but I do it sometimes when I mess up my fingering. But obviously that's easier, right? And then moving on here, measures 9, 10, 11, and 12. Play the open D, strum, and then we slide up to the 5th fret of the B string, and then down to 3, and then measure 10, we play the 4th fret of the G with the 2nd finger this time, and we make this shape right here, right? This F shape, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So now I could have just strummed it the same pattern as we've been working on, but I did some strumming, and then I added just a little bit of cross picking. I just thought it just, again, this is kind of like this advanced beginner or intermediate arrangement, and just looking for little ways to spice it up, just be a little bit more expressive and creative. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and and then measure 11, I land back on the 4th fret. Then I strum 3rd fret B, and then 4, 2 slide. And measure 12, we go back to the C chord, but it's open G note. Then 0, 2 hammer on G, open G, 0, 2 hammer on the D, and we'll go to the D note. Let me play all 4 of those in context. So it's And two, one thing you might hear on the recording or see me do from time to time, just on measure 10, is I might slide into that 4th fret note, which, again, helps it. Just that little bit gives it just a little bit more expressiveness, right? Okay, so let's move on to measure 13, and kind of finishing up this verse section here. So we land on the open D note, but we go back to the G chord. We do the same strumming pattern as before. And then 5th fret on the D, open G, D, open G, and then 2-0 pull. And then we have a nice little 8th note run here, a really kind of standard bluegrass lick, if you will. Something I would use all the time for kind of a 1 bar of D and then going back to G. 4-2 slide on the G. You can use your 2nd finger here now. And 3 on the B. 4-2 slide on the G. Back down. Open G. 2-0 pull on the D. And then measure 16. Open G. There's really no melody here. We're kind of just ending with a run, essentially. G. Open, or 2nd fret D. Then open D. 2 on the A. 1-2 slide on the A. Measure 17. Land on the G note. The low G. So those 4 in context. 3, 4. Okay, so let me play the whole verse part in context now. You can have the tabs go by there on the bottom. And yeah, you can see and hear it all go by at a moderate tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, and then we'll go on to the chorus, you know, swing low. That'll be next. All right, so that's the verse part there. And if you want to access the full-length lesson and download all the tabs and the practice materials, click the link in the description below, and we'll move on when you're ready.